If I had to start over and get my first job in cybersecurity in 2026, this is exactly how I do it. Hi, my name is Wade. I'm a cyber incident responder and I've been in the industry for over 20 years. There are three areas that you have to work on to get your first job in cybersecurity. The first one is technical skills. This is where things like training, capture the flags, labs, where all those things will come together and get you some of those skills. And once you've gotten some technical skills in those areas, you probably want to work on a certification. You want to pick the right one for where you are in your career. So I've made an entire video about it. It's linked in the video description below. It's also up here on the screen right now. And so I talk about what's appropriate for the different levels and the different starting points. Now, when you're looking to get technical skills, an important thing to do is to focus on an area of cybersecurity that you want to go toward. Within cybersecurity, there's many disciplines. So you have to focus on one of the disciplines. Now, the majority of jobs in cybersecurity are defender type jobs, which are called blue team. Blue team is comprised of incident response, threat hunting, vulnerability management. If you're looking for a place with like-minded people where you can grow some of these technical skills and get some hands-on experience, go into the description below and check out my school community. It's for anybody who's looking to start or grow a career in cybersecurity. I also do the same type of activities there because I'm also trying to grow my career in cybersecurity. Another important piece of technical skills is getting hands-on experience, not through training, but through maybe an internship. And so what that will do for you is that'll give you something work experience wise that you can put onto your resume and you can talk about in an interview. So getting an internship can be maybe a bit of a challenge, but it will be something that will be so beneficial to your career overall. So what I would recommend is, if you want to do something like this, once you have a bit of a base, is to reach out to some companies in your area, look on LinkedIn, look for people in your local area who have jobs that you would probably like to have, and contact them and speak to them, see if there's any opportunities for internships, reach out to the HR teams. It's going to be a bit of manual effort on your part, but it will pay off huge when you want to get that first job. So the second area you want to focus on is what I'm calling getting noticed. And what getting noticed is having people know who you are and what you do. And so a way to do that is to, increase your social media presence. Now, I'm not talking about becoming a world-renowned influencer in cybersecurity, but moreover, you can do simple strategies that will just let people know that, hey, I'm into cyber and here's some of the things I know. So one strategy you can employ here is learning as you go and talking about it. So even if you're taking, say, a lab or you're working on a capture the flag event, once you complete that event or while you're working through it, if you've learned anything, just talk about it. Say, hey, what I learned while taking this course, or what I learned during this capture the flag event. And so it doesn't have to be anything too in depth. It just has to let people know, like, hey, I'm spending my time working on cybersecurity skills because that's where I want to go in my career. And it just gets you out there just a little bit. So the other way that you can get noticed is by networking locally with people who are already in the cyber industry. So what I would recommend for that would be to reach out to people on LinkedIn who work in your same city in a job that you may want to work in, and open up a genuine conversation with these people. So just say, hey, I noticed you're working at this company and doing this job. That's kind of where I want to be in the future. Do you have any advice or anything that you could tell me about the job that might help me along the way? And you'll find that people are very helpful if you just ask them, right? In fact, I've helped many people get jobs in cybersecurity who's just reached out to me through LinkedIn. I didn't know them. I'm not even sure how they found me, but I've offered them advice. I've looked at the resumes. I've given them some advice on what to do next in order to get that career in cyber. Just reaching out to people, create genuine connections. You can even say, hey, if there's an opening at your company that you think might be a good fit, could you let me know? And oftentimes they will, right? That can be a huge step up for you versus every other applicant, just having somebody there recommend you. These things are super, super important. And the third area in Get Noticed that you can kind of use to grow your influence in the local cyber community is to attend conferences like B-Sides. So if you haven't heard about B-Sides, they're like community run conferences. They're always local. They're low cost. If you're a student, sometimes you can get in for free. These are just a great way to get out, talk to people, have them meet you, and just really get to be involved in the community a little bit. So super cheap, super easy way to meet people. Just get out there, talk to as many people as you can, wear some nice clothes when you show up. Third area you need to focus on is just getting the job. In this category, what you want to do is work on your resume. Your resume needs to match the job that you're applying for. People struggle sometimes when you're first starting because they're like, well, I don't really have a lot of experience to put in on my resume. But I challenge you to think about it in a different light. Here's some examples of how you could show that you're interested in cyber and knowledgeable about cybersecurity before you're even in the industry. If you are a support person, say you work on the help desk, but you advise people on phishing email, you may even administer some of the antivirus stuff, like you ensure that workstations have antivirus on them if you're on desk side. Maybe you configure the antivirus software as well, right? And then another option would be like if you're a developer, while I write secure code, I audit it to make sure it's compliant. I use industry best practices like say from OWASP, which is an application and web security framework. If you can mention these things, definitely mention those things. Drop the things off your resume that don't relate to cyber directly and add the parts of you that do speak to cybersecurity already. Like say you're in finance, right? What would you say on your resume? Like maybe you could say something about like, I've been involved in identifying fraudulent invoices or ensuring that we meet some regulatory compliance rules or working with auditors. So those are all things that you could put on your resume that speak to cybersecurity from your current role before you even get an actual cybersecurity job. One more thing that you should be doing with your resume is that almost every business now will use some sort of AI automation to filter out resumes as they come in for job postings. So what you need to be doing in these cases is taking a copy of the job description and a copy of your resume. I would recommend taking off your personal identifiable information, like your name and your address and whatnot. And you upload those into an AI tool of your choice. And you ask the AI tool, say, which parts of this job description are not reflected in my resume? And it will actually tell you, well, you're missing these different things. You don't want to put false information on your resume, but really think about how you could speak to each one of those points, because you pretty much need to, in today's day and age, have something relating to every requirement that they have put in the job description. And that's really what the AI is doing, is saying, is this resume, does it have all the things that we're asking for, right? And so go through that exercise before you even apply, and then try to address those needs through thinking harder about your experience, thinking harder about your training, thinking harder about something that maybe you want to do. Another tactic that works pretty well, like say if you're asking for Security Plus certification and you are legitimately working towards Security Plus, but you have not achieved it yet, you can put in certifications Security Plus and then in brackets put in progress, right? That's enough probably to get past the AI, which is great. So even though you haven't achieved it yet, you're working towards it. You can identify that on your resume. So don't be scared to do stuff like that. It's not telling a lie. It is being truthful, and it can get you through to that next screening. Because ultimately, the only goal of the resume is to get that interview. So once you've got the interview, the resume really isn't that important. So just focus on making sure that you're aligning your resume completely with the job description. Now, assuming your resume's worked, they like who you are, maybe they knew who you are because of your networking that you've done. Now you've gotten an interview. The interview is really what's going to decide who they hire, right? You've been shortlisted. There might be probably a minimum of 2 other people, probably 3 at minimum, maybe more. But so now that you've gotten the interview, what do you want to do next, right? You want to ace that interview. So the best way to ace an interview is to practice. Now, after being through so many interviews throughout my career and even giving many interviews, I've kind of learned the tactics and the similarities that you'll find across pretty much every interview. You could almost be guaranteed they will want to talk about a previous project that relates to the role that you're applying to. So have a project in your mind ready to talk about that talks a bit about what you think the job is going to be about. So if it's, say, a SOC analyst, maybe you can talk about how you used to look at antivirus alerts. Like, say you were at the help desk and somebody reported a malware infection. What did you do? What steps did you take? I followed the process that was defined by locking the computer and calling so-and-so or sending them an email. Showing that you can follow a process that's defined is also extremely helpful, especially in blue team operations. Being able to show that you can follow a process is huge. And then the important part about any of these interview questions and your responses to those questions is being able to show a result at the end. This happened, I did this, and this was the result for the business. In that first example that I gave, like you were on help desk and you were alerted to a malware infection. Okay, so you received the email, you took the action according to the plan, and the result was we contained the malware infection before it became an issue. That's what business people are interested in. They're interested in how does this affect the business and how does that help them do what they need to do. And so just be prepared to speak to those things. So what happened, what you did, and what was the result. And you also want to have at least one example of where things did not go right. It's very important. People want to understand, how do you act when things don't go right? How do you correct your action, right? We're all human. We all make mistakes. And the important thing is what you do after. And so have an example, right? I've given examples before where, I suggested something and maybe it wasn't accepted and then things went wrong and I had trouble with that person. Well, how did I deal with that? Well, I went to that person directly and I had a candid conversation with them, expressing my concerns and listening to their concerns, right? You have this, okay, there was an issue and this is how I dealt with it. And what was the result? Again, you have to have the result. The result was we came to an agreement between the two of us, what would be the best path forward, and we did it. That's the same type of information, but just based on something that didn't go right. So I really hope you guys are sticking around and getting the value out of this video. And if you are, please hit like and subscribe. If you just subscribe to my channel, it makes a huge difference. It helps more people find me and my message to get out further, because at the end of the day, I'm here trying to help people get jobs and change their lives through working in cybersecurity, which is honestly the best career I could ever ask for. But on to the questions. So everybody gets caught up about the questions they're being asked in the interview. So I'm sitting there, they're peppering me with questions. I got to answer this, answer that. But at every interview, at the end of the interview, they will say to you, do you have any questions? And this is your opportunity to turn the table, no matter how bad it's gone up to that point. When they turn to you and they say that, the number one question, in fact, the only question you need to ask, what does it take to be successful in this role? It causes the interviewees to take a step back. Instead of them asking you questions, you've now asked them an important question. They have to reflect on that question. And during that process, one of two things will happen. One thing is they're going to envision you in that role and think, okay, what does it take to be successful in this position? Well, it takes hard work and good technical skills and all these things. And if you've done a good job up to that point, they will actually say, oh, like how you mentioned previously and how you gave us this example. And if they don't say those things, that might be an indicator that maybe you didn't speak to that well enough. So for example, if they said, well, it takes excellent communication skills, but maybe you didn't have a chance to talk about that previously, will you stop and you say, you know what? Communication skills are very important. I'm glad you brought that up because I have this experience and that experience, and I took this training course and I really value that. Basically, they're going to give you a list of what they want to see. And if you feel that you're missing anything in that list, you speak to that right then and there. You say, oh, I have this, I have that, I have this, I have that. It's a genius way, and it honestly will set you apart from so many of the other applicants. If you want that job, you show them I want to understand what's going to be important in this job, and I'm going to show you how I can meet all those things. It's a genius question. And again, the question is, what does it take to be successful in this job? If you do this and it works for you, please put it in the comments. I want you to show other people that this works. And honestly, it works for any job, any role. I can't take credit for it. It was in a book that I read, Never Split the Difference. I highly recommend that if you want to get into negotiating a bit. So those are the steps at a high level that I would take to get into cybersecurity in 2026. Now, if you feel like I'm missing something, or you didn't understand something that we talked about today, please drop it in the comments. I will respond to each comment individually. I'm holding nothing back here. And if you want to join a community of like-minded people who are trying to get their jobs in cybersecurity, or already have a job, or are trying to grow themselves like I am, then hit up my school community. It's in the link, it's in the description below. It's free right now. It will become paid soon. And so if you get in for free, you get to stay free for life. It's a huge deal. It's a great community. We're just getting started, but it's the best time to be in there. You're going to get the most value. So I encourage you to click that link and join that community today. If you want to learn about cybersecurity certifications that I would recommend, click this video.